In 1991, the two top contenders in heavyweight boxing were Iron Mike Tyson and Donovan Razor Ruddock. And since Twitter hadn't been invented yet, the two decided to actually fight each other in order to determine who was worthy of challenging heavyweight champion Evander Holyfield. What made this match so exciting was that both competitors possessed incredible strength and athleticism. What's more, they employed these attributes in very unique, even creative ways. Tyson was an aggressive counterpuncher, capitalizing on the punches that opponents threw while backpedaling as he drove them towards the ropes. He was able to close the distance so rapidly by incorporating unusual head movement before, during, and after nearly every punch he threw. Rather than turn or crouch to slip, Tyson would face forward and lean far to either side. This squared-up, forward-facing stance perfectly complemented his footwork, as it allowed him to easily step in either direction. This multi-angled approach, a staple of the Peekaboo style boxing that Tyson practiced, meant that Tyson could land knockout punches with either hand from orthodox or southpaw. Razor Ruddock was a powerful heavyweight in an age of powerful heavyweights. Ruddock's signature move, which he titled the smash punch, was a hybrid between a hook and an uppercut. What made it so unique was the way that Ruddock loaded the punch by dropping his hand, bending his legs, and dipping down. But as bizarre as the punch appeared, no one could ever doubt its effectiveness. It was anyone's guess how these two styles would play out against each other, but with all the bad blood that developed pre-fight between the two outspoken, extremely confident heavyweights, the world was eager to find out. The night came, and the two squared up mid-ring. Ruddock was clearly the bigger man, and as such should have held a large advantage, but Tyson had always been the exception to the rule. The two went back to their corners, and then, finally, it was time. Tyson slipped outside and came in behind his jab. This was one of his favorite setups, and he quickly followed it with an overhand. But Ruddock straightened his arm to leverage block and leaned back, a common defense for the taller man. Now it was Ruddock's turn to get aggressive. He loaded up his smash punch, but Tyson caught him with the jab and ducked underneath. But as the round progressed, Tyson was having trouble landing anything through Ruddock's extended guard. And likewise, Ruddock was hitting air because of Tyson's stellar head movement. Tyson's unusual side-to-side head movement helped him to slip punches, even while moving directly towards them. While many fighters with more narrow stances would have ducked right into Ruddock's uppercut, Tyson could avoid it entirely. Tyson's best moments from the round occurred when he put combinations together, while Ruddock had the most success while using his extended guard to control Tyson's head. But by the end of the round, the two seemed to be equally matched. This didn't jive well with either man, and the two exchanged blows after the bell. Tyson charged out for the second, but Ruddock blocked and fired off a return hook, which Tyson weaved under. Ruddock continued to try and keep distance with his lead hand, but Tyson was relentless. He exploded forward with a body hook. Ruddock blocked and tried to pivot out, but Tyson's unique footwork, normally great for cutting off the ring from southpaw, in this case swept Ruddock's feet from under him. But the ref didn't see what had happened in real time, and because of this, it was automatically a 10-8 round for Tyson. Despite the fact that Tyson's punch hadn't connected, Ruddock now clinched far more often. He tended to throw just one punch as Tyson came in before tying him up. Tyson was able to avoid the large majority of these, but was unable to avoid the clinch. But by collar tying, Ruddock gave Tyson a clear path to his sides. Tyson pounded away at Ruddock's midsection. This is a great way to sap an opponent's strength, and it tends to pay dividends in the later rounds. The second ended without either fighter taking any significant damage, but that would all change in the third. In Ruddock's corner, his coach encouraged him to continue with his strategy. It seems that perhaps the game plan was to lean on Tyson and force him to wrestle. While the usual strategy against a shorter fighter is to keep them at a distance, wearing them down by forcing them to move your excess weight can work just as well. All the same, Ruddock opened up a bit more in the third. He tightened up his shots, catching Tyson with short uppercuts as he moved in. He was also able to keep his distance better with his extended guard, and had success moving Tyson into his punches from the clinch. It looked as if his strategy of sapping Tyson's energy was starting to pay off, and it was only the third round. If things kept up this way, Tyson could be in serious trouble. Encouraged by all this, Ruddock opened up a bit more. He took some moderate shots because of this, but landed some of his own in turn. Near the end of the round, Ruddock felt comfortable enough to swing for the fences. But this proved foolhardy. Once again, Tyson's unique head movement allowed him to move directly into Ruddock's fight-ending hook. Tyson was just in time. The punch merely skimmed him. And now, Ruddock was wide open, with his base and balance completely shattered. He tried to raise his arm to leverage block, but a classic Tyson left hook sent him stumbling to the canvas. However, Ruddock easily made the count, and the two went back to their corners to prepare for round 4. Ever the warrior, Ruddock seemed completely unshaken, raising his hands up to the crowd as if he had been the one to land the knockdown. But he was also no fool, and spent much of the fourth clinching, giving him ample time to recover. However, Tyson was no slouch in the clinch. He knew how to wind his punches to go around Ruddock's arms, finding small cracks to punch through. What's more, he also knew how to punch with absolutely no warning. Usually when a fighter withdraws their arm, the sudden lack of contact tips off their opponent that a punch may be coming. But Tyson could throw with no preparatory motion, his fist traveling in a straight line with no windup. Nevertheless, Ruddock was completely recovered from the knockout by the end of the round. Once again, the two exchanged after the bell. Both men felt comfortable opening up and taking more risks in the fifth. Tyson's jab was a double-edged sword. On the one hand, it let him move inside and set up harder shots. On the other, it presented Ruddock with opportunities to counter. But perhaps Tyson picked up on this, as midway through the round, Tyson feinted a double jab, drawing a hard rear uppercut from Ruddock. Tyson countered with no hesitation, as if he had expected it, following up with a number of well-placed shots through Ruddock's guard. But none of these shots seemed to land clean enough or hard enough to bother Ruddock, and Tyson was repeatedly kept at bay by Ruddock's long jabs and stiff arming. The fifth essentially ended in a stalemate. Clearly upset at Tyson's stalled momentum, his corner begged him to throw combinations and spend more time setting up his shots. Tyson listened, and although he took a short hook for his troubles on his first attempt, he would gradually build momentum throughout the round. Instead of charging in full force, he took his time, feinting, weaving, and working his way in with small steps. This gave him the space he needed to avoid clinching and set up counters. Midway through the round, Ruddock managed to slip Tyson's jab to set up his signature smash punch. But Tyson intercepted it with an overhand, countering Ruddock's best weapon. Tyson now had all the momentum. All he had to do was build on it. However, Ruddock had other plans. Out of nowhere, he countered Tyson's overhand with a sharp left. Perhaps Ruddock's plan was working, and his constant wrestling had slowed Tyson's movements enough to make him a viable target. Tyson managed to avoid Ruddock's follow-up, but then ducked right into a hard rear uppercut. Tyson stumbled, then avoided a tremendous lead hook by sheer luck. Now it was Tyson trying to work his way into the clinch, but Ruddock pulled him into an uppercut, piercing deep into his solar plex. Tyson fired back, but took another uppercut, this time to the chin. He pounded his jaw, daring Ruddock to try again. Ruddock obliged, but miraculously, Tyson shrugged it off and kept fighting. Amazingly, the round ended with neither man ever touching the canvas. But it was obvious to everyone watching that this fight would not go the distance. From his corner, Tyson could hear the crowd chanting Ruddock's name. It's often been argued that Tyson was never able to overcome adversity in fights. But these people must have never watched this fight. Tyson took the center of the ring before Ruddock had even gotten up, and then threw everything he had at him. For those that had noticed Tyson's work rate wane throughout the rounds, it must have been a huge surprise to see him put so many combinations together so quickly. It was questionable if Tyson would have anything left after this round, but Ruddock had completely lost his fear of Tyson. After all, he had proved he could hurt him with just one punch. The two traded shots, both committed to seeing it out to the end. There was no new tactics here, no adjustments. Both men just took more chances, eager to prove that they were the strongest. 2 minutes into the round, the deciding exchange took place. Ruddock led with his right. Tyson barely slipped it, then countered with a right body hook, then a hard lead hook to Ruddock's jaw. Ruddock stumbled back. Tyson flew forward, battering him with 4 wild, unanswered punches. Tyson was just a few punches away from ending the fight. But as it turned out, he didn't have to. The ref had seen enough and stepped in between the two gladiators. Ruddock fell into the ropes, but then he regained his footing, protesting the stoppage immediately. To many watching, it seemed that the ref had grossly miscalculated. Although it had looked like Ruddock was finished in the moment, he had recovered so quickly that it was clear the fight may well have continued. The crowd was not happy about this. While Tyson and Ruddock embraced, their animosity gone in the moment, the crowd rushed the stage, hungry for blood. A riot broke out, and the ref needed to be escorted out of the arena. It was a disappointing reaction to an incredible fight. Nonetheless, it was clear to all that Tyson and Ruddock had unfinished business. That business would be concluded with a rematch just a few months later. Stay tuned for more technique and fight breakdowns. You can check out my books on power, footwork, and defense in the description. From the Modern Martial Artist, this has been David Christian, wishing you happy training.